don't fall, that's when you know you're gonna go dry. When the rain don't fall, that's when you know you're gonna go dry. And it won't do no good to be crying out loud, babe, or cursing the sky.
Hi, welcome to Thinking Green. I'm Rana, and I'm here today with Paloma Doyle, who is representing New London Trees. And, we're hearing so much these days about, campaign stuff, and we're going to talk about something really enduring, just trees. So welcome, Paloma. Maybe you want to start out just talking about how you ended up at Conn College and doing things with trees.
Sure. So, like you mentioned, I am a Connecticut College student. I came here all the way from Austin, Texas to study botany at Connecticut College because the Arboretum, which is 750 acres of green space, made it the perfect place to study trees. And I was quickly brought into the world of urban forestry when I arrived here because the director of the Arboretum, Maggie Redfern, also happened to be the president of the local nonprofit New London Trees. So it just worked out perfectly, and I was able to not only study the more formal side of plants as a botany major, but I also got to continue this passion that I had for urban forestry that I've had honestly all the way since I was back in Texas.
And it's funny that both you and Maggie came to the East Coast, the Northeast, to look at trees here.
Yes. So I came to Connecticut College. I'm here as a botany major, and honestly, I have learned so much about the nonprofit world, and I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to be here and learn about trees and implement my knowledge of trees.
Now, we have a bunch of pictures today, and one of the first ones I wanted to show, and Paloma gave us all these photos, is an old photo of New London, maybe 100 years ago, maybe a little more than 100 years ago. And this, if you believe it, says it's the corner of Huntington and Broad Street, which now has, fiddleheads on one corner and the courthouse and the library and the back of the guard. And it had a lot of trees. So I'm guessing it happened in a lot of urban environments over the last, especially maybe 50 to 75 years. There were a lot more trees then. So what's happened to our cities, and what's been the impact, and what can we do about it?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you noticed, actually in that picture, there was a lot more than just cars on those roads. There was cyclists, there were pedestrians walking, and so trees are important for all those reasons. They're not just to look beautiful, but they actually make it a more livable space. So in the development of these urban spaces, they were putting an emphasis on including trees in that planning. And as we've shifted away, made roads wider, repaved, we've made sidewalks and things like that, we've actually lost a lot of trees just to development. And when there's not emphasis placed on replanting those trees after development, we just kind of lose those beautiful sites like we saw in that old postcard. And wouldn't it be amazing if it still looked like that in downtown New London? It's very interesting going to Connecticut College and having access to this forested arboretum, and then taking the bus downtown and not seeing that at all.
And we're only talking about 1.5 miles away.
Totally, yep.
So there is definitely a disconnect, and I do wonder, and I know that Connecticut College is right now trying to make its campus more walking friendly and keeping the cars more along the periphery. And a few cities have done that, but so many cities, the streets have gotten paved and they've given way to really giving dominance to cars. And now cars all have AC. So why do you need shade if you've got AC?
It's for the people walking.
Yeah.
It's for the people who don't want to use cars.
Yeah. Walkers, bicyclists. But if you're in a car, I guess
it's also
it
for the
doesn't
people
seem like
waiting for the bus stop. I take the bus regularly downtown to New London. The stop is right outside the Arboretum, and it's very nice to wait under the shade of a tree. But when I catch it to come back to the college,
you have to get from next to the train station.
Exactly, and there's no trees to wait on over there. So, yeah, it's thinking about all the people who would be interacting with the space, and yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting to think, and I wonder if there probably are old pictures of the train station and that whole center part of the downtown New London that had more trees as well, and now it's pretty much zero.
Yeah.
So New London trees, I don't know, I hardly know where to start on what New London Trees does, but you had given some pictures of interns, and I know you work with interns, so maybe you want to talk about what the interns do and what you help them do.
Sure. I guess I'll start with really what New London Trees is, so we can get that clear.
Yeah.
So New London Trees, we are a grassroots, nonprofit, all volunteer organization, and because of that, we really rely on partnerships like with the Connecticut College Arboretum to accomplish some of this work. So we have an internship program, and that is very in line with our mission, because the mission of New London Trees is to increase New London's tree canopy through community planting, care, education, and advocacy. And so the internship starts from a place of education, but then is able to bring everyone else into the other parts of that mission, of the planting, of the advocacy, of the tree care. So that's the intention of the internship, but we have this amazing connection with the Connecticut College Arboretum, which provides summer interns each year, college interns to help New London Trees accomplish some of its big projects that wouldn't be able to happen just from volunteer work throughout the year. So it's very intentional work being done. And this summer, so I actually began as an intern for New London Trees last summer, and I was focusing on creating a municipal tree inventory. But this summer, we actually were able to expand the internship program to have 4 interns, 2 from Connecticut College, and then 2 found from the New London community. And that was able to expand our capacity, double it. And in addition to that, we also had a crew of 5 high schoolers who were helping us very specifically with tree care and watering. Watering is a huge deal in the summertime. And it's really important to have consistent watering for the trees, so we were able to partner with New London Youth Affairs to have a whole team of young people just there to care for the trees, to speak up for the trees, and to kind of wrap their head around what is urban forestry and how do we make a difference in it. So for me this summer, I served as the coordinator for the internship, kind of getting to implement what I already know about urban forestry and about New London Trees, and bring more people into it, and accomplish a lot of awesome stuff.
And we had seen a photo while we were talking about, I think it was the high school students doing tree care, but we also have a picture of interns doing some work at Bates Woods.
Yes. So actually this is a photo from a field trip that the New London Trees College interns took, in addition to the Connecticut College Arboretum's horticultural and curatorial interns and the high schoolers who are working with New London Trees. So we had everyone come out and we did a whole urban forestry tour of New London. We went and we started at Bates Woods, which is the largest public open space in New London, and we adventured through there. We did a lot of activities like learning about invasive species management and plant identification. Then we were able to take that, leave the woods through the Ashcraft entrance or exit, whichever you choose to use it as. And we were able to walk through the streets of New London, passing by Elm Street and thinking about what would Elm Street look like if it was lined with elms.
It probably was at one time. They cut down the elms and they made an Elm Street.
Exactly. But we got to take this whole tour walking past plantings done by New London Trees in different settings, whether it be in the strip of grass between the sidewalk and the road, or in people's front yards or in park spaces. So that was actually a really amazing opportunity to get to introduce all of these young people, including myself, to what urban forestry looks like in New London.
And it is interesting that now, of course, there's a Bates Woods group, and one of the grants they got was to develop a forestry plan, which is fantastic because Bates Woods, depending on how one calculates it, is 65 to 75, maybe even 80 acres of largely, part that one corner is developed into fields and pavilions, but a large part of it is really pretty wild. And when you get away from the pathways that are disturbed soil, there's already a lot of native vegetation there.
Yeah, it was very funny because we started at Bates Woods, and once we got into the urban environment, we were starting to feel the heat island effect. We were starting to feel the heat radiating off of the pavement, and they're like, can we go back to the woods? And we did circle back and make it back there at the end of the day, but it was totally such a difference being immersed in this green space and then going out into the urban environment, still appreciative of the trees we were seeing, but it's not that same feeling of being surrounded by nature, surrounded by shade, and things like that. Yeah.
Well, so we'll get back and talk more about the inventory afterwards, but I wanted to follow up on what you said about, once you get on the street, there aren't any trees. So one of the things the New London Trees does is facilitate the planting of trees.
Totally.
And I think it started in public spaces. The islands on Governor Winthrop were an early project. But now it's New London Trees works with everyone and anyone who wants to plant trees, it seems like.
Totally. So we, as New London Trees, are big advocates for healthy trees that shade our streets, that fill our parks, that fill our school grounds. And those are what we would refer to as municipal trees, which are in public spaces accessible for the public. But when you look at areas like New London, where it's a small area, so much of it is developed, it's hard to find those spaces. So we've actually done something that many urban forestry groups are doing, which is looking at setbacks into people's front yards to plant trees there. And that is really beneficial, not just for us as we find places to plant trees, but it's also great for the trees because now there's someone who is responsible for their life. They will water it for the first 3 years. They will love it. They will appreciate it. And that's something that trees need. They need that attention. And then the homeowner then gets to not only benefit from having this piece of nature to connect with, but they also will get to experience the many benefits of trees. As the tree grows, it will shade their houses. It will make them have to pay less for summer cooling, and they will get to enjoy the shade of it. It'll clean their air. It will probably bring in wildlife, birds to hear chirping, and all kinds of stuff like that. So there's so many benefits to trees that we don't want to just have it be in the spaces that are public, but we want to have it be accessible to all residents in New London. So,
and it looks as though, and we have some pictures of planting the tulip trees in Riverside Park,
Yep.
which I had nothing to do with the choosing of it, but interestingly, there is a tulip tree that volunteered in the entrance of Riverside Park about less than 10 years ago. It's probably about 12 feet tall now and very healthy. And it did not get watered consistently because we kind of didn't even know about it. Oh, yeah, and we didn't even talk yet about the tours you all do.
Yeah.
But there, this is one of the tulip trees that's in Riverside Park.
Yeah.
You can see in the background the stump. It had been an ash tree. It got borers. It was losing limbs. And it might have been savable, but I think the city was concerned about the liability in the meantime, because after a windy day, you did see branches on the ground. So there are two of these tulip trees, and off screen, way to the left near where you just enter the park, there's one very nice full one that's about 12 feet or so tall and maybe 5 feet wide. So
Yeah, that was actually the inspiration. So here in Riverside Park, because this ash was cut down, we wanted to replace it with something that would provide a large canopy. And there's that one tulip tree that you talk about on the corner that inspired us. We said, what's better than one tulip tree? 3 tulip trees.
Yeah.
Because they will all grow up nice and tall and provide a huge amount of shade over that space, and really allow people to enjoy it.
And it's a perfect spot for a tall tree because that field is used a lot by the neighborhood. Kids put up badminton nets when they're on school vacation. People walk dogs. And it's just nice that the trees don't actually take away from the usable space.
Not at all.
At all, but they shade it.
Totally. Large trees grow up tall. They're not small trees that will take up that usable space, but they're going to grow up tall, shade the area. And I love that location, especially because there's so many houses surrounding Riverside Park, and just having a large canopy tree provides so much cooling effect to the houses surrounding it through evaporative transpiration, which is this awesome mechanism that trees have where they're literally cooling the air. And all of the houses around it will get to experience the benefits of those trees. Yeah.
So there are also quite a few trees that you've planted that aren't exactly in public places, but aren't really in private residences either. I think we have a photo from some homeless hospitality property, and they have quite a few properties around town, and I did not realize that you're planting on all of their properties, not just the main one on State Pier Road.
So you're seeing here, this is actually a photo of our tree planting on the same day that we planted at Riverside Park. We started there and then we swung around, and we were able to plant 2 swamp white oak trees right there on the back side of the Homeless Hospitality Center, right along where a bus route goes, kind of by the bridge. And we were able to plant 2 trees there and a redbud right next to them. And these trees are probably some of our best looking trees. The Homeless Hospitality Center has given them so much love in the year that they've been there. There's some beautiful painted rocks that are put all around the redbud, which is pretty cute because redbuds have heart-shaped leaves. And there's lots of hearts on those rocks. And every time we go and check on them, everyone is so friendly with us, and they are so happy to have these trees. And so we had such a great experience working with the Homeless Hospitality Center. We are now going to plant on all of their properties throughout New London. These are more permanent homes, and the intention of this is to provide those residents with these trees that will be very beneficial. It's kind of like gifting a tree to them in their new home, and yeah, we just are really thankful for this connection that we have with them, where they are happy to take care of these trees that we have gifted them, and it's just like a continued relationship. So we're looking forward to that. That's actually happening this fall. We will be planting around 15 trees on their properties.
Wow.
So that's a really exciting amount.
And I'm thinking that a lot of their properties are in areas that don't have a lot of trees.
They do not. Yeah, that's completely true. Yeah.
Yeah, they've gotten hold of empty lots on blocks that really don't have a lot of open space.
Yeah.
There are denser areas. So we also had a picture of planting that the Rotary did.
Yes.
And that's also sort of not exactly public, but not exactly a private residence either.
So here you're seeing the Earth Day planting that we did with the Rotary Club. We like to do an Earth Day planting every year, of course. And last year we planted at the Chamber of Commerce in downtown New London. We were able to get 4 trees in the ground over there,
nice.
which is very successful for such an urban environment. They were actually kind enough to dig out some of their impervious surface to make way for the tree. But here at the Rotary Club, we were able to actually plant even more trees, because while they had a lot of open, or this isn't the Rotary Club, this is the Lighthouse Inn, which is where the Rotary Club meets. And they heard about New London Trees, started coming to New London Trees meetings, and were like, could we do a Earth Day planting? So we said, yes, we would love to do that. And it's actually a unique location, because the Lighthouse Inn is not in the really dense urban area of New London. It's a little bit more towards the shoreline. And you would think, oh, that's more natural, that's less developed. But actually, there's not a lot of large trees there, because people are trying to preserve their views of the water. And that's totally understandable. That's such an amazing feature we have, and we want to protect that. But we were actually able to plan at the Lighthouse Inn where we could put the trees, where they would still give the community, the visitors of the space, access to these trees, but not block the water. So it was definitely a fun project. And in that photo, you saw kind of along a fence line, we were able to plant some more tulip trees and some eastern red cedars, which are an amazing source of food for animals and for birds and stuff like that. So we're very excited about that planting as well. But really, all of New London can benefit from having trees. That it doesn't matter which side, if you're in the dense downtown or down at the tip, it doesn't matter where you're planting it. It's going to benefit the space no matter what.
Yeah, and I think it is true that near the shoreline there really aren't that many trees. People go to the beach, there's no shade.
Yeah, which is also interesting, because we talk a lot about like stormwater retention and not wanting a bunch of water to flood into these spaces from our urban environment. And trees are like one of our best tools to absorb that water. They drastically decrease stormwater runoff. So maybe we need to think more about how we can actually get trees along those water lines to help combat the runoff that's going in. I would be really interested to think more about that.
That is interesting, because I know I've heard that lawns might absorb 2 inches of rainwater, of stormwater, and forested areas will do at least 6 or 7 times that much. So, and we're a coastal town.
Yeah, definitely all along the coast we could use some more trees as well.
So, and I don't know if we showed the last slide about planting on Plant Street. There was a big bunch of neighbors that wanted trees.
Yes, totally. So I guess that kind of brings us back to the origin of New London Trees. So New London Trees was established in 2018 in response to the removal of trees across the city. And there was a letter written to the Day from Susan Munger, who's one of our, she's our vice president, and she wrote a letter saying, "We know you're replacing the sidewalks on Plant Street, but don't you think we should keep the trees to shade those sidewalks?" Unfortunately, all but one tree were cut down to make the sidewalks, and no trees were replanted in their place, but that was kind of the catalyst for community members to come together and say, hey, we actually want to make sure that when trees are removed in our city, we are making sure they're getting replanted. So that was actually this past spring, many years later, that we actually were able to do a replanting on Plant Street to kind of celebrate how far New London Trees has come, and to get community members excited about planting trees on their street. And since then, more neighbors have been like, I want to plant trees in my yard, and yeah, it was honestly an amazing event. You saw how many people were in that photo.
Oh yeah.
We could have planted 25 trees with that amount of people. So it's truly finding the places to plant them, and people will show up, clearly excited with their own shovels that they brought from home, ready to get on the ground and put the mulch around, curious about what's going on there, all gathered around. And this was actually a picture taken before 15 students from Connecticut College showed up,
Wow.
also ready to help plant trees.
Now, most of those trees went onto people's private
Yes,
property
they all
next to
did.
this because there really isn't an adequate
No.
grassy strip between the sidewalk and the
Yes.
road.
Normally, we see that little strip and we say, oh, there's grass there. You'd probably be able to plant something there. But if it's not wider than it needs to be at least 4 feet to even consider putting a tree there. There's, of course, other things you could put there, but that's often where, when snow is plowed, it's dumped there. So there's a lot of things to consider when planting a tree there that we would much rather prefer planting it on the other side of the sidewalk in someone's front yard so that it can still shade the sidewalk, shade the street, but not have such a tough time growing in that kind of intense environment of a little strip.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Public Works, I mean, they did actually on Granite Street
Yes.
about 10 years ago, narrow the street and create a planting strip that's wide enough for big trees. I think it's more than 4 feet. I think it looks like it's about 5 feet. And there are things like sugar maples and really large shade trees there, but there aren't that many streets in New London that you can do that with, and you also need a public works department that wants to do
Yes.
it.
Actually, while Dave DeNoia, who is the city's former tree warden and a really active member in New London Trees, when he was working for Public Works and he was the tree warden, they actually were able to do a very similar thing on Ashcraft, which we were able to plant many large canopy trees, and they are doing so well, and they truly do have enough space to grow. And along with why do we want these trees? You're thinking about these large open streets. If they're huge streets, cars are going to go really fast down them. But trees actually slow drivers down. They create a more calm environment. They cause more people to be outside enjoying the space, enjoying their neighborhood, and it doesn't just become a cut through to get onto the highway faster or stuff like that. So it's really important that we're adding this green to literally slow people down as they walk by and enjoy it, as they drive by and enjoy it as well. So, yeah.
Now, if people who are watching are interested in getting trees, I think there is a target area that is particularly bereft of trees.
Yes.
So even if you aren't exclusively planted there, you're focusing on that?
Yes, so
we have a map of that.
Yeah,
and you
totally.
Can talk about it.
You'll see the map up in a second, but we currently are working on a grant to plant 100 trees in 2 years. We are right at our midway point. We have this upcoming year. And this is our zone for our grant. So pretty much if you live below Connecticut College and above L&M Hospital, you are within the zone we are focusing on for our grant, which means you can receive a free tree as part of our planting programs. And we will be doing this, we're doing this fall, we'll do it in the spring, and we'll do it in part of the following fall, up until October. And pretty much if you live anywhere in this area, we would love for you to contact us about planting on your property. Because not only is this is the more impervious area of New London, it has a lot of developed areas, it's very compact, and there's not a ton of space to plant. So we're really looking for people who want to plant on their properties, and that is also that selection is not just based off of impervious surface, it's also based off of tree equity. And pretty much tree equity is this concept in urban forestry where we want to have the benefits of trees able to be experienced by all. And oftentimes communities where people of color live, low-income communities don't get to have as many trees, whether it's because they're renters or because there just hasn't been a lot of protection of the trees in those spaces. So they're not getting to have those daily benefits of trees. And a big part of urban forestry work right now is specifically focusing on those areas to plant in and to create this like ongoing legacy of trees in that space. So you're pretty much planting today so that many generations can enjoy it in the future, and so that we can start to combat that clear separation between wealthy areas that have lots of trees and more dense areas that have not had an emphasis placed there. So that's also where that map is coming from. And there's also a bunch of schools in those areas, there's parks in those areas, and that's truly like the downtown center of New London, where people are coming in to enjoy the downtown and stuff like that, that we want to make sure that there's beautiful trees for them to be under.
Now, a question that I have looking at this is, by planting in people's front yards, do you partly be able to deal with overhead wires? Because that's overhead wires is a big on some streets. One side of the street might have a place for decently large shade trees, and the other one, like the wires are 20 feet, and you can have a big shrub, but not really something to give you shade.
So we totally believe in the right tree for the right place. Totally believe in it. And of course, we are going to try and put a large canopy tree wherever we can if it works for the space. You look at a street and you see the side with the wires and you see the side without it. The side without it, we are going to go for those big canopy trees, because the bigger they are, the better. The more ecosystem services they provide, the more shade they provide. They will not only shade that person's house, but they will shade the sidewalk, shade the street in front of it, and potentially even cast shade all the way to the other side of the street that can't have that large canopy tree. But that being said, if there's people who are super passionate and they're like, of course I want a tree in my yard, we will never say no to them. And even if you have a tree, even if you have a spot that couldn't host a large canopy tree or even a medium canopy tree, we can find you a tree that would work for your space. Whether it and could be under those wires, whether it would be a small red bud or a dogwood, an eastern red cedar, all kinds of things like that, or a larger tree that's maybe more medium height that could still work under there.
It wouldn't get carved up by Eversource.
No, exactly.
So there's a flyer that you provided about that people should see if they're interested in planting trees, and maybe we'll get that up. But talk about how people who are thinking they'd like a tree can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so we want to plant trees with you. The first thing is we want you to, if you're interested, reach out to us at hello@newlondontrees.org. You can also find our website, which is newlondontrees.org, and find us on Facebook as well. We have lots of easy ways to get in contact with us, but if you want a tree, please email us at hello@newlondontrees.org, and we will find this tree for your space. We provide the tree. We'll come out and plant it for you. We have the expertise, like I was talking about, to not only plant it for it to be successful, but to pick the right plant to be successful in your space. What you're going to provide is the location, and like I said, that super important part, the watering of your tree, especially in the heat of the summer, and love for the tree, so that you can see it, so that we all can see it be successful. And then of course you're gonna get all the benefits that the trees provide, the shade, the beauty, and more. So we really encourage homeowners and even renters who want to reach out to their landlords and say, is this something you would be interested in? Spread our message. If you are not like someone who lives in the house, but maybe you have a business that has a front yard space in New London, we would also love to work with you. And yeah, truly any yard space in New London, we can find a tree to put there. We just want you to contact us and say, we would love to have a tree there, and we'll make it happen.
And we were talking before the show about Hodges Square, where probably about 10 years ago, a pollinator garden was put in with mostly perennials and grasses, maybe a couple of shrubs. And because the businesses are restaurants, that had outdoor seating, they didn't really want all the bugs flying around. But now that area is being cleared of the flowering plants, like trees just seem perfect.
Totally. Especially you're talking outdoor seating. I would love to sit outside on a beautiful day, not be blinded by the sun,
right, shaded
under a beautiful tree, just enjoying my meal. I think there's the similar thing can be said for places downtown where you can, I'm thinking you're like walking to all these restaurants and shops in downtown New London, and you're more inclined to go walking those streets if there's shade to be under on your journey. A part of what I've done as an intern for New London Trees is actually go business to business and introduce ourselves and talk about what we do. And even though those areas right now don't have places to plant trees because it's paved outside of the shops, just getting businesses thinking about what a more green downtown could look like. And we're always very well received. They're so excited. They're like, that would be amazing if people could be outside of our business and shaded and then come inside. They feel that there would be a way more foot traffic around their businesses if there was trees in the space. And we saw that in that postcard. So many trees in the downtown area of New London.
And it isn't that hard. There's that whole, replacing water pipes project going on in New London. We know that pieces of concrete can be cut out of the
Totally.
sidewalks to put trees in. And like this T-shirt of mine, I was helping a urban forestry project in Philadelphia that was planting in South Philadelphia, which actually makes all parts of New London look green. You know, it's very old row houses, very few trees, and they literally do cut like a, I don't know, 3 foot by 4 foot hole in the concrete and put trees in there.
Totally. I think that there needs to be, while New London Trees is here and we are a voice from the community, I think the more people voicing this, the more likely we are to be heard. So be advocates for trees in the urban spaces, and one day those trees will come. Urban planners will put an emphasis on doing that, or even when projects like just curb cutting or cutting out pieces of concrete happen, they think, oh, we could do that when we plant a tree, or we could do that to plant a tree. And you'll even sometimes see areas that have been paved over that used to have a tree there, which is also very interesting to spot as you walk down walk on a sidewalk. You're like, that looks different than the rest of it, and it's likely because there used to be a tree there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the inventory.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about it, and you've been working for a few years on this inventory. There is a map, and online, is there an interactive map?
Yes, there is. So New London Trees maintains a municipal inventory of New London. This was originally begun in 2018 with a Connecticut college student in partnership with the Public Works Department. And she did a inventory of around 2,000 trees in New London. These are the trees that are municipal, so that line the streets, that are in school grounds and are in our parks. And that was the beginning of this project. And I came in last year as an intern and began to I started to finish the project. So there were some areas that were originally missed in the first inventory because of various reasons like construction, or there wasn't enough time, or things like that. So there were a few areas that were skipped, and I started to go in with fellow interns and add those areas to the general municipal inventory. But then New London Trees has grown a lot since 2018. Right. We've actually planted, as of now, 150 trees. And we wanted to start documenting where those trees were. So if you saw on that map, there was a bunch of different colors, and the dark colors are the trees that we have planted.
Oh, wow.
And then you'll also see a gray color in addition to the vibrant green. The vibrant green is the municipal trees. The gray color is actually the trees that have been removed since 2018. So were originally noted in the 2018 inventory and have since been found removed, reported removed, or just stumbled upon a stump as we were inventorying. We're like, hey, this obviously used to be a tree here, and little did we know. Then we look at our old inventory and we're like, oh, yep, this tree has been removed, and we mark it as removed on our map. So inventories are this really useful forestry tool that is then applied to urban forestry. Tree inventories are like the foundation for better community forest management. So if you know what you have, you can manage it. It's a really important tool for planning. You can identify gaps in the canopy by looking at what you have and what you don't have, and you see those gaps and you're like, well, we need to target these areas, or how can we get trees in these areas? So that planning and management is a really is how these inventories are implemented. They're not just this collection of data that sits on a shelf in a report somewhere. We actually have it as an interactive map on our website. So if you go to newlondon.trees.org, you can look up city trees and click on that interactive map, which is what we had showed on the screen, and see and actually explore the area, see the diversity of species, the amount of species, and the location. So it's not only a tool to improve our forests, but also to help people connect better with the urban forest and start to do some of their own thinking about what they want to see, or even what they want to explore. If, say, you've never seen a sugar maple, or you've never seen whatever, you can look up, where can I find these trees? One of my favorites to look up is black tupelo, which is an excellent urban tree that is underplanted in urban environments, especially here in New London, but New London Trees is on it, so don't worry.
We just planted one in Cole Street.
Yep. It is such a resilient tree. It is actually a wetland tree, so it's super adapted to living in nutrient poor environments, really wet soil, poor draining soil, which are things we totally see in an urban environment. So it's, this wetland tree that is growing beautifully, but say you want to see where are the mature black tupelos in New London, you just look it up and you can go see where they are. So it's this really interesting tool to be able to connect with a forest in a different way, or in your urban forest in a different way. And my role as a board member, I am actually the inventory liaison. So I am responsible for maintaining it. This summer, I actually taught those college interns how to create one, how to keep working on updating it, working with the software, mapping it. But I also am responsible for doing kind of like the regular upkeep, keeping track of the records of what we've planted, what's been removed, and stuff like that. And I also get to talk to people about how important it is to have an inventory and share the results with them. So that's kind of my role with New London Trees, in addition to all the fun stuff like planting trees and canvassing and stuff like that.
So in addition to the care, the interns work on inventorying as well.
Mm-hmm, yes, totally.
So a couple last pictures. The equity score, you mentioned before something about different neighborhoods being inequitable and cities in general being not equitable. So how is that determined, what a score is, and what does it mean?
So if you look at New London, it actually has a composite score of 68. And as someone who's in school, I know that is a failing grade. It is orange on that map. It is New London has the second lowest canopy coverage in all of Connecticut. So looking at that composite score, we know that all of New London would benefit from having trees. But then if you look at the more detailed version, you see exactly which neighborhoods would need the most trees to get to an equitable amount of trees that meets the needs of the community members in those areas. And so you see again in that dense area of New London, in the downtown area, you're seeing a really heavy orange. And if you actually look at the one that's has kind of a really dark outline right under the word London, that's where the New London Public Library is. And at the New London Public Library is where we have our monthly meetings on Tuesdays, and Tuesdays at 4:30, the second Tuesday of each month. And it's very interesting to be there meeting in the area of New London that has the least amount of trees. So we sit in the library, we discuss what we're doing, what we want to do more of, and we try and get New London to be more like we see it in this postcard, where there's more trees in our downtown area and people are getting to walk the trees under their shade. So, yeah.
It is amazing when you see that this area really did have quite a lot of trees. The early postcard was the other side of the same intersection, and like the streets were narrow and lined with trees, and there were small green spaces here.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
This is, across the street. So, yeah. So, the other last photo I have is another thing people can do, I guess. We have a picture of T-shirts.
Yes, yes.
And they're not like the one you're wearing.
No, they are not. So a super fun thing we did this summer, kind of on the advocacy and the community engagement side, we were able to partner with Spark Makerspace, and myself and fellow interns designed a new T-shirt design that highlights some of our favorite trees to plant in an urban environment. We have the tulip tree, we have the elm tree, we have the black tupelo, the red maple, and the white oak. And we have not only their leaves featured on the front side, but on the back side, we have their common and scientific names, and then a little bit more botanical information about those plants. We have their flowers, their fruits, and things like that to really help people learn more about these trees that we're planting. And when we go and canvass at people's doors and say, would you like a tree? We can say, and these could be one of the trees you will receive. So we were very excited to do some screen printing at Spark. We really love to partner with all of our nonprofits in the area, just to see how our missions can align, how creativity meets trees, and how we can work together to make it a space for everyone to enjoy. So that was a really fun partnership we did this summer.
That sounds fun.
And we got some cool shirts out of it for sure.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Do you have more? Can people buy them?
We're currently looking to make more. The ones we made this summer were for all of our interns. We had so many interns, so we decided to make shirts for them. But definitely, we want to get these shirts out to people. So we don't have them for sale yet, but maybe come join us at a planting, or just come to a meeting, become a member. If you come to one meeting, you're automatically a member. So we look forward to seeing you there, and you might get one of these awesome shirts as well.
And unfortunately for me, they're on Tuesdays, although before we do the show. So it isn't a total conflict. And I think we only have about a minute or so. So people can get more info at the website, newlondontrees.org.
Totally, yep. Follow us on Facebook. We're very active there. And if you want a tree, email us, hello@newlondontrees.org.
And there are a lot of varieties, and they're beautiful trees.
Yes, all highlighted on the website. We have all. You can go online shopping for trees on our website. It's pretty fun.
And I didn't even know that, but for some reason, when we planted on Cole Street, we knew the black tupelo was what we wanted. It just was the right size for the space, and it just seemed right. And I'm seeing there are others being planted in the city.
Yeah.
So in the 1 minute maybe we have yet, is there anything that people can do to advocate within the city for trees?
Yeah. So I love to show up at City Hall and speak for the trees, speak for our open space, speak for our arboriculture standards to protect our trees. Unfortunately, they were abolished last summer, but we want to hold our city accountable and to voice our love for trees so that action happens. So that's what I would say. Be the voice, be the passion, and just talk until they hear you. And put trees in the ground until it's all
thank you.
Shaded.
Thank you for Paloma for talking about New London Trees. It's been a very busy few years and will continue to be so. And keep an eye on the website because there are some events and activities coming up.
Totally.
With details to be determined in the future, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And starting next week, I hate to say it, we'll probably be starting to talk more about upcoming elections. But, we can ask candidates about trees too, and what the city can do to support our green spaces.
Yes, totally.
So thanks again, and to all of you out there, we'll see you next week.
When the rain don't